Hello, welcome to the second episode of Civ Breakdown. This time we'll be looking at Korea. Again, we'll be looking at Korea in terms of its abilities in the Better Balanced Game mod. This is the mod that is used for competitive play in the Civ Players League. Both the link to the mod and the Discord will be in the description. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to get the most out of Korea, where the power points are in this Civ, and how to play it effectively um, in any game mode you want to play. So let's get started by looking at Korea's abilities. So Korea, the first ability is Hwarang. Like governors established in a city provide 3% culture and science for each promotion they have earned, including the first. So this is a really strong ability, especially later on. Percent bonuses always contribute much more the longer the game goes on, as they're able to multiply yields. Um, but with Korea in Gathering Storm, we have this guy right here, Pingala. Pingala's promotions give extra culture per citizen and science per citizen, as well as increasing the output of the city's science and culture by 15%. So as Korea, utilizing this first ability, if we recruit Pingala, we get the 15% increase as well as the 3%, so we're at 18%. And then we get both the connoisseur promotion and the researcher promotion. That'll give us one additional science per citizen, as well as increasing it by another 6%. So then we'll be at 24% increased science and culture, as well as giving us a little bit of a flat bonus, which helps to start multiplying that bonus really early on. Your capital as Korea can break the game in many regards as to how much science you can get. It's very crazy. And it's partly thanks to that ability. So um, make sure that you get governors up really quickly, especially Pengala. The rest of them you should put in your key cities that are making the most science and culture to maximize that benefit. Um, and another part is that you'll probably want to go audience chamber, which is the first tier government plaza building that gives you food and housing for established governors, cities that have established governors. That'll synergize really well with the ability, as well as in the Better Balanced Game mod. If we look over here on the, it's not in here, but let's look in the Civilopedia. We get 2 governor titles, so this is just a direct buff. This used to be 1. Originally in an earlier Better Balanced Game mod patch, now it's 2. You can see that you get the food and the housing, so you can get even better cities with governors that can then provide even more culture and science. So I would always recommend going this building if you're playing Korea. Okay, the second ability is Three Kingdoms. It's basically an addition to the Seowon ability, so I'm not going to go really much into it, but mines provide additional science if they're next to Seowon districts, and farms provide +1 food if they're next to a Seowon. So as you can start to see, Korea is very much based around science, and sort of the Seowon is the key playing Korea well. So I'm going to go in a lot of detail into the Seowon. So I'll just do the Seowon next, as it fits right into Three Kingdoms ability. So Seowon is a half-cost science campus district. The notable feature of it is that it has to be built on hills. In the Better Balanced Game mod, it provides 2 adjacency at base, and then it provides 1 culture adjacency to theater squares. You can increase this adjacency of 2 for every 2 mines that are adjacent to the Seowon district. And placing your Seowons, typically I see this done wrong in a lot of people who play Korea when I watch their games over. So I'm just going to use my capital as a starting position as what you're looking at when you're trying to place Seowons. So right here, looks like a pretty good city for most civs. You're getting the extra production for settling on a Plains Hill. You're next to like a one production for, or a one food for production deer right here. You got a nice amount of hills. You got a river. Just lots of nice stuff right here. But what I'm looking at is that I'm trying to find optimal Seowon spots that I can get all the tiles being really nice and worked. So because Seowons get -1 adjacency for every additional for every district that's next to them. So if we open up the tree, you can see right here that they get -1 for each adjacent district tile, and the only thing that doesn't affect it is the government plaza because it evens out with a +1. And the theater square also, it doesn't benefit the Seowon itself, but the Seowon will benefit from it. Basically, the +1 and the -1, they just cancel each other out. So here, we can't build, we don't want to build Seowons. If we settled here, we couldn't build a Seowon here, here, or here without it being sort of suboptimal. So we're looking at this spot here, which has 3 mineable spots. This is a quarry, so it doesn't count. We could build it here. It's got 2 spots within two tiles of the city, so it's pretty good. And it's got a farm I can put down, and it's got a 3rd ring mine I could pop down. So that's +3 Seowon, a 5 food rice. It's pretty decent. There's no real other good spot. You could maybe put this desert hill as a possibility, but doesn't really work as well. You just get basically the same yield as this one, except without the farm, the rice. Now, what I see is that I would rather settle on wine. Reason being, you can now unlock this spot as a Seowon. That can be good. And this spot has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hills and a farm, so you're getting the maximum potential out of this Seowon, and it's in your capital. So this is an amazing spot for Korea. You're also getting this 2 food tile immediately, as well as a luxury. So that is, so this would be definitely the best spot for a Seowon. There's no real other spots that are even close to as good in this spawn. I'm going to go through a couple turns, and I'm going to try and explore and show what you should then be looking for in your next fusel. So we're going to settle this, and we're going to start just working our way towards seeing a little bit more of the map. Okay, so now we see that looks like there's like a nice rice settle right here. Got maybe like a copper settle over here. That could be a possibility, or maybe something over here. It's more, land's looking really nice right now. We'll just look sort of to the south for now. Okay, I think we've explored enough to just sort of get a baseline idea. Maybe I'll just show what's down this sort of pathway.
The sea seemed to roll back.
Funniest Mount Vesuvius ever. Okay, so let's just pause for a second and sort of take a look at our surroundings and what we can look in for Seowons. So obviously you're taking sort of basic settle principles, and then you're just adding in the Seohwana, sort of like a little bit of an extra thought. So we know that this spot is a Seohwan. So all the tiles around this are going to be affected. So we kind of want to maximize the amount of affected tiles we can get out of Seohwans. So what I'm sort of looking at here is I'm looking to see if I can get new affected tiles that are within 2 tiles range a lot of the time. So putting a Seowon here, it's okay because it's getting 3 affected tiles and this farm, but that's already um, conflicting with these 2 tiles that are being affected. And then maybe I could get an extra farm here, and it could be nice with a farm triangle, but um, that one doesn't look as good. I would rather place it about here. Reason being, here or here. Actually, this is probably a better spot, just because we can see that there's a rice here. You could pop a city down here on this rice to get the extra 3 food. Then you get a Seowan right here. Now you get extra 3 science here. This one's a little bit further out, but that's okay. And then you're also improving the ability of this rice. And then this tile as well. And if we maybe go like one more turn, we can see if like yeah, nice farm triangle right here. So that would make that a really strong farm triangle. And then you can use these other tiles as sort of your production. Then maybe you have a second city. It's on the coast. So then let's just try to map out this one. This one, good Saiwan position. It's next to a tile that's benefited from a natural wonder. You could argue that you could maybe try and get this as your Saiwan. Maybe put a city in some other position. That would be good work, but it's kind of hard to map out that because it would need to be like here. Which mean you'd maybe need to set up your city in a less optimal spot over here. So overall, it doesn't matter that much. What you're really looking for, as a baseline of what you want in a Seowan, is 2 mines at least next to it. Because so we're gonna look at a civic tree for a second. When you get up to enlightenment, this is when Korea can really get online. You get additional science from campuses, so 50% from the buildings. So 50% if the city is 10 or higher. Because we're going to do audience chamber in most games, this is not that hard to get in a lot of cities. And then you also get 50% of the district has 3 adjacency. So as Korea, you can pretty reliably get that. I mean, even in spots like up here, I mean, up here actually is not a very good setup. You could maybe set up something over here, maybe a sale one, buy into the capitals ring, and then start improving these tiles. But basically, if you want to play Korea, I would suggest going sort of into a kind of game like this, like a single player game I'm doing, and just sort of scouting out initial cells and then trying to sort of think out where Seowon placements would be ideal. Trying to not overlap the affected tiles of any of the Seowons. Later on, you're sort of, and your other districts, just try and fit them in where you can. Camp theaters can sometimes fit in really nicely right next to Seowons, but I would sort of recommend going some commercial hubs next to a government plaza. Try to find a spot where you can set up maybe 2 commercial hubs next to a government plaza. Get some nice adjacencies there. Just don't worry about your government plaza that much as Korea. Just try and find like maybe 2 districts that can benefit at least. Okay. So that's a lot on the Seowon. Um, Hopefully I've covered a lot of it. Last part of this ability is the Hwacha. So Korea. This is the power point of Korea and where you want to make your plays. So Korea's unit, it's a unique Renaissance era unit that replaces the field cannon. It's a little bit weaker than the field cannon in a few regards. So we're just going to open up the Civilopedia. Um, so it replaces the field cannon. It's only 45 melee strength instead of 50, and it's got 60 range strength. So if we look at the field cannon, over here, 50 and 60. The key point of the Hwacha is that it comes at gunpowder, the same tech as musketmen. So this is really early. You're basically getting this like about 900 science before you would on ballistics. So you can see the ballistics doesn't really have anything for Korea. It's pretty useless. The problem with the Hwacha is that it cannot move and attack in the same turn. So that's sort of the penalty for it coming so early and being such a powerhouse unit. There are a couple ways to get around this penalty, but there's only really one way during the time frame that it's the most powerful. And that is by grabbing a general that is a medieval era great general. So medieval era great generals, they improve the combat strength and movement of medieval and Renaissance units. The thing about the Hwacha is if it ever has enhanced movement from any source, it can move and attack at the same turn. So that will allow you to essentially have field cannons at gunpowder if you can get a great general. And on top of that, you'll have a great general for enhancing its range strength. So it'll be higher than a lot of the time you'll see field cannons. Since field cannons need to have a Renaissance era great general since they're an industrial unit, but Hwachas are counted as Renaissance units. So a lot of the time you want to go really tall with Korea. You want to get like 5 or 6 core cities, set them up for high science, get your Saewons out really early, and then sort of beeline it to Hwachas. If you can get the draw on someone and they don't have an answer to Hwachas, you can completely kill off a civilization. It's a really, really powerful unit. And the fact that you have enhancements to science means that you're going to already hit gunpowder before other civs very easily. And then you'll have a field cannon type unit probably like 16 or 17 turns before someone else. It's crazy. Now, what are some sort of other things that you might want to do on Korea? So a lot of the time I usually go pottery into writing as my first starter. It sort of depends on the start. But if you have a start like this, definitely do that, because if you have a Seowon district tile that doesn't need any text to place it, like this one, like if it was a forest hill, you'd go mining first and then go into this. Reason being is that you can usually catch up to the necessary text to defend yourself. Like you can get the bronze working really quickly and then iron working, or you can then go back into like archery and build up a few archers, and that should be enough defense for the early game. And then you've also, they're really cheap to build. They're cheaper than monuments early game if you rush them really, really quickly. It probably only takes you like 1 or 2 turns in your capital, maybe like 3 or 4 turns in your new cities. Because districts are much cheaper at the lower amount of civics and techs you have. So just don't get caught with your like pants undone though. down. You don't want to just build a bunch of Saewons and then sort of tech for stuff that doesn't defend you. You want to get up these Saewons really quickly and then go immediately for some kind of defense. So either horseback riding or ironworking. Because if you can just get set up and have a nice defense, you'll be able to uh, shoot way past every other Civ. Most important things, though, is to remember to build an encampment at some point in the game. I like to build it in either my second city or my first city as like their second or third district. My capital usually tries to go for the government plaza building early. So usually I sort of delegate the task to my second city. You can build the encampment and then just run 2 encampment projects after the classical generals are done. And that'll be enough to get you your general for the watches. In a late game situation, Korea usually will have more science than anyone else. Just because you're getting science from tiles and you're getting really, really strong campuses that can be enhanced by rationalism later on. But just be careful because Korea can a lot of the times fall behind on your economy because campuses cost they cost money for 1 gold upkeep, and if you're using district, it should be your first district in pretty much every city because of how good it is and how cheap it is. But that also means that you're not getting commercial hubs out quickly. So if at all possible, if you can get a golden age, make sure to take pen, brush, and voice. In the mod game, the BBG mod game as it is 2 culture and 2 gold for every district, which eliminates the maintenance cost of the Seowon and also gives you a gold, which means you can then invest into like libraries a little bit down the line. But also just make sure that you have enough money so that when you get 2 watches, you can upgrade your crossbows and archers into watches and push on to someone with your general. So if you like this guide, leave a like, subscribe for more guides. Or if you have a question, leave it in the comments section below. Cheers.